Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay and technical problems here. It's very nice to see this full room. I'm really enjoying this conference and happy to be talking about reward systems, which is a topic I'm very passionate about. So to think about rewards, we first need to understand the two broad categories in which tasks are separated: algorithmic and heuristic. Oh, here's my... An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure that can be used to solve a specific problem. Algorithmic tasks are objective, like the process of running existing code and the method used to solve mathematical problems. Heuristic tasks are subjective and much harder to measure. Heuristic is derived from the Greek word to discover. They represent the discovery of our own solution to problems. They are creative and don't work well within formulas. And today I want to explore the dilemma in rewarding heuristic tasks and interesting pathways we've been finding for it. Punishment and reward systems are based on the values upheld by the social framework we are inserted in. Capitalism, for instance, is an economic and political system most of the world is operating by and has its essential feature, the motive to make a profit. This is no news for anyone, but profit as a purpose is not the problem. The issue is when the value system underneath is limited to financial profit. Private property, private control of the factors of production, accumulation of capital, competition, extractivism. These are facets of the system's main value, which are exclusivity and enclosure. But there are a whole lot of values that we uphold, I'm sure most of us in this room uphold, that are not aligned with the system, that are collaboration, communal management, open source, sustainability, regeneration, restfulness and longevity, genuine expression, and the list can go on and on. Everything that can't be turned into a product or service that creates direct supply and demand dynamics, therefore enhances profit in the short term, won't be put as a priority. Often heuristics fall under this category because intrinsic motivation is the drive for creativity, which comes from our joy of existing, and it can't be controlled by exclusionary markets. Multiple research experiments have shown how rewarding algorithmic tasks is somehow straightforward and effective, but rewarding heuristic tasks often leads to a loss of intrinsic motivation, which compromises the effectiveness of rewards in incentivizing desired behavior. To top-down incentives aligned with the capitalist value of private control of the factors of production, losing control of the creative force in society is not the most desired outcome. So we'll come back to the incentive part later, and now we'll focus on rewards. In the paper written by Edward Dacey, The Effects of Externally Mediated Reward on Intrinsic Motivation, he concludes that when money is used as an external reward, intrinsic motivation tended to decrease. Whereas when verbal reinforcement and positive feedback were used, intrinsic motivation tended to increase. This is precious information for successful heuristic rewards, and I want to introduce praise to exemplify that. Praise is a reward system that invites communities to build a culture of giving and gratitude involving contributors at every step of the process. Praise allows communities to acknowledge the full spectrum of value created, ranging from small to large contributions. With praise, we're not locking a top-down value system in place, but we are constantly listening to what does the community value. And praise works in 4 steps, so I'll dive a little bit into it here. The first step is acknowledgement. So community members are allowed to praise any type of contribution. For example, I really want to praise the ETH Barcelona organizers for the care they put into making this a welcoming, safe, informative, and fun event and environment. And following this, the praises that are given are quantified. So a group of appointed quantifiers are responsible for assigning a numerical value to the subjective praise data, quantifying each praise based on their perception of the value of that contribution. How much is facilitating a working group worth compared to, let's say, organizing a conference? Quantifying praise is also an interesting way to receive decentralized updates about what's happening in the community through the lenses of gratitude. The third step is analysis. We can analyze the praise and the quantification behaviors, calculate Gini coefficients, compare distributions to previous praise periods, categorize buckets of contributions, make visible relationships between contributors, and much more. You can apply multiple metrics to it. And the fourth step is distribution. So the quantified value of praise will become a score to each contributor that can become reputation or financial rewards in the end of each period. With praise, we are able to reward heuristic contributions financially without harming intrinsic motivation because it brings the verbal enforcement and positive feedback. So the negative effects of a direct financial rewards are mitigated. Praise has been an incredible tool, not only for rewarding, but also for mapping contributions and community values. We can access a rich database of warm data in reference to Nora Bateson, that can be analyzed in many layers of complexity with different metrics, and that's where incentives come in. Not top-down, where a few community members want to nudge contributors to a certain direction, but bottom-up, where the reflection of everyone's contributions guides what's considered valuable or not. DAOs are innovative engines. How many people here are part of a DAO? Everybody! DAOs are innovative engines, and we're solving problems we don't have a manual for more often than not, which means that most DAO contributions fall under the heuristic category. And the lack of heuristic rewards and the lack of such warm data over the years have left us blind to what people actually value in social environments. In my opinion, the highest and biggest potential of crypto is the ability we have to map invisible value flows, tokenize them, and bring them into visible, giving us means to create more complex and rich economic and political systems instead of exclusionary ones. Thank you very much, everyone, and engage with... Thank you. I wanted to keep sharing that just for the QR code, if anyone wants to engage with praise in the comment stack. I don't know, everyone back there, tech support, if you can. Well, talk to me if you want to learn more about praise or engage with praise. And I see we have 10 minutes left, so I would like to take some questions, if there are any. Yeah.
Right now, to implement praise in a DAO, it's already running. Plug and play, open source, download, what do I do?
Right now, to implement praise, plug and play, or what do we do? Well, there is a way in which you can do it yourself. It's everything open source, so you can start running with it, but also praise is a cultural tool, and the Common Stack has been having a lot of experience with this cultural implementation and understanding what can be used for, what are some possible issues, what are some things that are interesting to consider, so we can also support in the first stages of deployment. Thank you. Okay. Oh, you.
What is your favorite part about the praise system, or the most underrated part?
My favorite part about praise is just how much love it brings to the community. It's so beautiful to have this acknowledgement and gratitude become a practice of how people interact with each other, and always put interactions through a positive lens. Because it's not that people are perfect all the time, but if you always magnify the good that people are doing and things that are interesting, I feel like this creates very meaningful relationships. I feel like the TEC community, the token engineering community, where we've been using this for almost 2 years, it is really a family. And I think a big part of that is because we created so much space for gratitude. Yeah?
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question. I didn't hear the part where you explained about what do you do with the data afterwards.
Oh, the analysis part? Yeah, so right now the analysis lives in Jupyter notebooks, but the idea is to create a dashboard out of that. We were calling that RAD dashboard, Rewards Analysis and Distribution. But it's still in a build phase. And I think the most interesting part of the analysis is just being able to process data that is not super objective and straightforward, that has multiple colors and qualities to it. So this process of investigating which are the best metrics, how can we categorize something that is not like, that doesn't even have the same words to express similar things, so also creating kind of a language pattern. And there's a whole team of very talented people looking into RAD and D analysis, and the powerful cultural feedback that can have, because when you look at the data and you see the patterns of how of what people value in the community, there is a lot of room for reflection and understanding if the collective is going in the direction they really want. Yeah. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Just wondering if you're in your testing so far, you've had any issues with people gaming the praise?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like a lot of people are worried about that, like, oh, ain't everybody gonna game the system? But then if you create a system where it feels so good to be in it, and there is a lot, so one of Ostrom's, Elinor Ostrom's principles in her book, Governing the Commons, is the importance of mutual monitoring. And this idea of not having someone that is on the top overlooking what is happening in the bottom, and to have monitoring as a practice that can be collective and peer-to-peer. So praise offers a little bit of that accountability layer also, because when you're seeing what people are valuing that others did, you're kind of getting updates from what people did. And then if there is something like crazy that someone is praising someone for something they didn't do, praise passes through so many people that it would be hard for that claim to survive until the end without nobody questioning it. So in the quantification process, for example, we have 4 people quantifying each set of praise. So we have 4 opinions minimum about the value of that praise. So if there is someone that saw that as a suspicious behavior, they can raise a flag about it. We haven't had any problems, actually, so far.
Here, just one question. Is this a ERC20 token which gets distributed when you have the prizes?
Any token can be distributed. You can create a reputation token. Praise is basically setting up a score that you can transform that score into any type of token to be distributed. And I see people were like waving at me, so I'll close here. Thank you very much, everyone.